Excellent stuff, very encouraging. So much to look forward to over the next 30 years. I want to touch on trade, and you mentioned amongst all the other milestones and items that were launched at the anniversary celebrations and the annual meetings, PAPSS, the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. Can you speak about its importance and what it would mean for trade on the African continent?
You know, Africa today has about 42 currencies. There were about 42 fragmented payment systems. If you wanted to transact, you had to go from one currency to a third currency to the currency you are going to now be paying for the goods you wanted to buy. These have been costing the continent an estimated $5 billion a year for intra-regional payments. That had meant that payments sometimes took up to 14 days if they arrived. And in an age where foreign currency had increasingly become scarce, it also had caused a diversion of trade. Because to be able to trade, to buy something from your neighbor, you had to go and try and earn another currency somewhere else to be able to get the currency to pay for it. And we say this is not necessary. We want to domesticate all intra-African payments. We do not yet have a single currency, but we can domesticate the payments. Domesticate it by using a multilateral net settlement basis to reduce the foreign currency content of the trade. Make it easier for people to buy goods across borders. Return the trade that is diverted just because of currency issues. Reduce significantly the cost of making payments across Africa. Payment is what will drive intra-regional trade, because it is through payments that you do a transfer of value. So it's not an issue really of just the currency you use. It's also the infrastructure that integrates all the payment systems, that makes it easy for the farmer in Zambia to pay for Nollywood movie he wants to stream in Nigeria using his or her phone, paying in Zambia kwacha. Making it easy for Ghana to contract an Egyptian contractor to build roads and bridges, paying in Ghanaian cedi. You are going to see a reduction in sovereign debt of many countries, and I mean in terms of foreign currency, because we will now start paying for those services, those infrastructure projects, which we spend about $60 billion a year on the continent in African currencies. And we complain today that airlines, we have difficulties in airlines flying all over Africa. But why would they fly when their monies are stuck in the countries because countries don't have foreign exchange to pay? But wait a minute. If, as we hope will happen very shortly, it is possible now for those airlines to get paid in the national currencies of their origin, that will reduce significantly this problem. And then make it possible for airlines to open more routes to other African countries. The stock exchanges are talking today about expanding and integrating trading. They have a linkage project that is being driven even by Nigeria and other countries. But you cannot do the linkage project, you cannot improve the liquidity we are talking about unless it is possible for a Kenyan to use Kenyan shilling to buy the shares in the Nigerian stock exchange. When that begins to happen, the volumes in our stock exchanges will begin to expand. Our businesses will begin to get make more issuances, make more money, and we will then begin to see more and more integration of our economies. So the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System is key to the integration the AfCFTA seeks to achieve. Without it, I'm not saying we will not be able to do anything, but it will be harder, it will be peripheral. Payment is core because it's payment that enables us to transfer value. And we're happy, I'm very pleased to be working with the African Union, the FCFTA Secretariat, to make sure that the payment system, which we have launched, commercially operating already, we'll make sure that it quickly ramps up all over Africa. Afreximbank is doing its bit. It fully funded the development of system. It operates it. It backs the settlement today, based on the pilot countries, $500 million for clearing and settlement fund, and increasing that to $3 billion as it goes continent-wide. And we believe that this will be the game changer Africa needs to more effectively become an integrated market. And this is the route to one day having a single currency.
You just preempted my next question, sir. The PAPSS, Pan-African Payment Settlement System, is revolutionary. The investment community on the African continent, even outside Africa, have reiterated all the points that you have made about how much of a game changer it is going to be. But you did mention, the possibility in the future of a single African currency. You saw how long it took the Eurozone to get there. Obviously, it sounds like you're in support of it. How long do you think it will take, and do you think it will make things easier for the Afreximbank and trade in the future for the continent?
There is a path to a single currency. The African Union is already preparing the grounds, trying to make sure the institutional arrangements to make that happen exists. And one key element is the African Central Bank. It has, the signature of the treaty has been opened. A few countries have signed, I don't remember the number, but it doesn't yet have the requisite ratifications to come into force. But I'm a market person. I think PAPSS is what will really accelerate it. Because as trading expands and deepens under PAPSS, we'll begin to see dominant currencies emerge. Nobody woke up one day and said that dollar will be the global currency it is today. It's the realities of the market. So as that begins to emerge, then the discussion about the single currency will become easier. Today some people are emotional. Let's just call one currency, this is an African currency. But it's good to say that, but how will it thrive? Even with the new central bank, how would it work? The 55 countries, from very, very small to very, very large, arriving at convergence criteria that will be required will be increasingly difficult if it is a managed process. Whereas with the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, the market will throw up that currency. Even if you don't call it the African single currency, it will become de facto single currency. Maybe at that time, discussions can become easier to have around that currency that actually has a central bank that will have everything. Then the central banks, the Association of African Central Banks, can then discuss around that fact and see whether that is the route to follow or whether there is a modification towards something that can be declared the African currency by fiat. So I believe PAPSS is a route.
Thank you so much.